But look, I mean, he did the fancy cool stuff. He set up those plays topside. He got some cool routes.
Yeah. And look, it is Chovy picking up. I'm very torn, right? Because I just like it when Chovy gets POGs. But it's tough life. Anyway, let's jump into the draft here for game number 2. Gen G moving over to the blue side this time around as T1 elect to change things up.
They'll ban LeBlanc as well, and I think that's a lack of confidence for Poby because T1 can't repeat the style that Gen G did on red side themselves, where they leave the LeBlanc open and then play the Kai'Sa as a potential flex here. And notice that 3 champions are taken away here from Oner by Gen G right off the bat here, forcing him to potentially just go comfort on the Lee Sin once again. And we'll see what he has in mind. The Vi could just be first pick here for Gen G. They'll take the Annie instead. And now let's see if T1 can draft a Vi composition here. Let's see how good Poby's Ahri is potentially. I believe we played it once in Challengers to take an L. But Kai'Sa's going to get locked in first. You can pick the Vi. So while it's not going to be with Nico here, and it's not going to be versus the LeBlanc, T1 now gets the opportunity. It feels like Gen G have just given them this chance to say, well, can you play the comp we played? Like, was it about draft? Let's prove it's not. As T1 will have 2 of those major tools here for the dive.
Yeah, not going to be able to pair it with a Nico, for example, but Gen G really are just going into the T1 playbook for this one if the Xayah is going to be locked in.
We're just going to lock in Lee Sin?
I think it could be just Xayah Rakan. You may as well do it. And then save Doran and Peanuts picks for the second round of the draft. I think that's
exactly what they're going to do, Atlas. It's just an easy call to put Delight on this pick again. Could be relatively dangerous to pick it this early, though, when you think about the Rel pick that's still available, of course. So on second thought, maybe it could be risky. They're going to opt into it anyways here because of that pre-baked synergy, and they'll put Poby on the basic Azir here in mid into the Annie. A matchup where you shouldn't have too many struggles and shouldn't require a lot of resources, and has some agency with the Vi. The Ahri was the pick you'd expect to see with Vi a lot of this year, a lot of this meta, but it's a pick that requires finesse, requires a lot of skill, a lot of coordination, and I think that T1 are just not ready to trust on that one.
Not quite yet. I like that they took a long time to lock in the Rakan. You can see Delight's face there as well. He's like, will I be denied another POG if I pick this one up?
Well, they get to just ban the Rel now, so because they chose the Azir over the Rel, it's now less scary here in the bottom lane. Let's take that one away, take away the Gragas. So this also threatens a potential Jax pick here as...
That's what I was thinking, and
the Nautilus, I mean, that's the other one I was like, okay, you probably should ban that with what it could do with this Vi Kai'Sa, but they're not too worried about it, and we'll just see Kha'Zix, and will be the Jax. The answer is yes. So Gen G's comp, very basic here, and what Peanut will need to do into this Vi is just simply tell all lanes to play safe, play passively, of course, without topside as GP.
That would be an optimistic pick into a Jax, I'd imagine.
Especially with Kha'Zix on the field, because now Kha'Zix could play around topside and then just counter jungle Oner significantly, especially in those early levels.
True. I do think that Gangplank, if played extraordinarily well, can win every matchup ever because Trial by Fire is broken. But Nah is going to be the lock-in here instead. Zeus going back to absolute comfort here on the top side of the map. And this is just a tried and true teamfight comp from T1. Very different to what we saw from the more pick-based early game style that they were going for in game number 1. And that didn't work, and now they're going to try something else.
If you take a look at this T1 composition, you look at who's piloting what. You've got Oner on Vi, you've got Zeus as Gnar, you see Kai'Sa for Guma, Keria's on Nautilus, and you look at that Azir in the mid lane and you go, that's the T1 I know. But you see the name Poby on it and you know that even though T1 has been fantastic as an organization across this year, compositions just as this, as Faker is the face of Azir that fans around the world know. You know, you feel good about it in terms of what the rest of the team should be able to do if they just played like he was there, if the captain was actually driving this ship. But we know it's not, and so these 4 other players know how to play this composition. Can they tell Poby what to do? Can the roles be reversed? That's the question they're going to have to answer if they want to bring this to 3, because you look at Gen G's composition, and once that train starts rolling, it does not stop. There are no breaks.
Nope.
The Gen G composition is absolutely lethal in terms of what it could do inside, the setup they have for Engage with Annie into Rakan, the Xayah Feathers, there is just no room for error with what T1 have put together.
The thing about the Gen G comp is it will require a little bit of getting going. Does snowball extraordinarily well, though. Let's see whether they will as we jump onto the Rift for Game 2. All right, T1 fans, they heard the Gen G chant be so loud in the first game, and they took revenge here in the second one.
Yeah, I mean, Atlas and I were talking about it during the break, but it is actually insane, the fan cheers here for Gen G. I think there's a lot of confidence going into this series, but also just Gen G has become an org that could go for the three-peat, right? This is something that we've talked about in the past where Gen G wins regular season, but they choke in playoffs. They have been notorious for leading us to believe that they are the best team in the LCK, but then have these massive dips. But it's just been nothing but consistency over the last 3 seasons from this roster now that the fans are just also showing up and supporting them, and they're becoming such a big org. They've always been, right, even since the Samsung days, but it's really starting to come to a head now as it feels like almost Gen G has become the face of the LCK more than T1. It's crazy to say that, but
there's a weird transition going on, you're right. And I think that Gen G were always the team that weren't the fan favorites, but they were often the best team. And it's a difficult thing to deal with as the team of Gen G as well. But now it is certainly starting to feel like that has become less the case, at least in these moments at this stage. Trophy in this mid lane, and we can talk about how these compositions do work. Of course, pretty short range on both sides. What happens when we dip back to the Xayah Kai'Sa meta? How the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah. I mean, look, the way that this comp operates for Gen G is very simple, right? They have an insanely strong 4-1. They also have great disengage into what is a Vi, Gnar engaged composition with Nautilus for support and the follow-up from the Kai'Sa. And he just ults everyone who goes in, and then you re-engage with the Rakan. You set up those charms. So it's so complicated to play what T1 is playing. Now, I think it's a fantastic draft. And, we've seen T1 run this exact comp before with Faker on the Azir, and you could trust, like, what you can do in a side lane and the amount of pressure they can put on the map, deal with this Jax, but I don't know if it's going to come to fruition here. But I think it's the greatest test of the 4 drafts we've seen from T1 so far. This is by far the hardest to win with. And, I mean, they are really brave to pull it out here on red side.
I would agree. Last time we saw Zeus on this Nara, I believe, was in the Nongshim series. And it was after we saw Nongshim win the game where they got the Neela for Jiwoo, and we're like, wow, Nongshim, they're super good. And then Zeus actually just picked up T1 and put him on his back. As Peanut, he has isolated Oner, or has Oner isolated Peanut. It looks like the Vi is going to win out on that trade.
Yeah, will win out. His red buffs fade away. Oner coming here to mid. Chovy's way up, but has a stun prep.
Yeah, and not going to be able to flash the Vault Breaker. There is an army of minions, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough, as he's now looking to try and escape. Doesn't have flash, and does have the Molten Shield, but there will be another Vault Breaker, and there is going to be a dead Annie. That is going to be first blood going over to Oner.
An uncharacteristic miscommunication between Peanut and Chovy here, because Peanut absolutely should have conveyed the information that Oner's in the vicinity, even though he's on the other side of the Drake pit, or rather the Herald pit. He's very close by, and Chovy's just way too far up in the lane there against Poby, trying to push his lane advantages against the Azir. And it's very simple for Oner to just come down there. Poby almost looked shocked by the gank, but was able to react quickly enough and do the damage required to take Chovy out there despite the flash.
And of course, I think Peanut just assumed that Oner would head over to his red buff, which is still up and available. But they did have a ward down, and Oner didn't actually start it up. We're going to see it once again as Oner comes over here. We'll be able to pull the Bramble back out of the pit.
Yeah, Peanut's just looking for the smite fight here, and does have the escape, of course. He's a level up, and did take first strike, so just picking some gold up.
Good vision here available as well, as Oner will be able to secure his red buff. Peanut still looking for a little bit more, but only will find a Q. Therefore, nothing too much. Zeus going to crush on top of Doran.
And one thing that you could definitely say about Peanut is he absolutely understands pressure so incredibly well. Every time a lane has an advantage, he is going to be there. He's going to be making an impact.
Oh dear, Oner is going to be discovered. Vault Breaker immediately though, has the passive for the shield as Doran's just going to walk past to support his jungler. There's a counter strike. They get the small stun onto Zeus, but he's going to land some boomerangs. Gen G going to have to get out of here. T1, they came here to fight in this game, and so far it is absolutely working. They have a slight advantage. We're going to check in on this bottom side where things pretty even.
Yeah.
Not really going to be game deciding or anything like that, but it is good to see T1 have some fight in him.
And Peanut, he just knows I can contest this red buff because Chovy teleports back to lane. He's got an advantage there. We have Cryo in top and mid, so against Oner, he's a level down. If I steal the smite, he won't hit level 4. I could push the envelope even further, then we can make a play top side. And it doesn't end up working out. They don't end up getting the kill. But this has been Peanut's MO for their last few series, is just use lane prio to the extreme aggressive degree. Now, once again, Chovy just a bit too far up in this lane. Poby will just come over and help secure this kill. Huge minion wave, so it does feel very awkward here, pulling it away from the turret. Chovy, Molten Shields to try to get out, but as the Vault Breaker comes through, that's a kill for Oner and will be first blood. The top side of the map, though, could have backfired in a big way for Gen G. T1, slight gold advantage, about 100 to their name at the moment.
Yep. That is sort of closing as Chovy continues to zone Poby out of these this minions, at least being able to kill them. This cannon is dangerously low, and it's worrying me that Poby's not going to be able to even be in experience range. He is going to be able to get over, and it isn't going to die. So there we go. Poby's going to be able to secure it. Cannons worry me more than most things here in the LCK, and I think I blame it all entirely on Jonah Strong and the amount of zoom-ins that we get. Thankfully, we did not have to do one there.
Yeah.
As alright, July8 taking a lot of damage. Oner's moving down. They have control vision, but July8 not going to be fighting anytime soon, and that wave state not great here for Gen G in the bottom lane. Will not be getting a crash or anything of that nature. Peanut going to have to come down, I think, try and sort that one out at least, or maybe go for some sort of attempted gank. It does look like Gumayusi just cleared it up. Now going to get themselves out as Chovy getting a stun back.
Yeah, he is ready to just drop a bear on the Azir and take the tempo advantage as Zeus actually gets hit by the counter-strike despite the hop there. Won't end up meaning anything, but steel caps does feel nice to have right now. And this early game has been Peanut trying to play around topside and not coming up with big advantages. They did end up losing Chovy early, so Kha'Zix's ability to, for example, solo a Drake early is not going to come into play here. There have been no resources bottom side. So T1 have actually had a pretty nice time of things, all things considered, in this early game. Of course, the CS advantage that Chovy holds is frustrating, but it doesn't mean that Azir isn't going to be as relevant as he normally is on these first few team fights. Oh boy.
All right, Doran. He isn't going to have a leap strike for the next little while as Oner takes a fair bit of damage. There is a Kha'Zix waiting in the wings,
yeah,
but
trying to bait this so hard.
Yeah, Chovy drops a bear, and there is Peanut. They will be able to secure it. Emperor's Divide does come out as Keria looks to try and escape from this one as well. From his former teammate of Chovy, does use the dredge line to get out. That should mean Rift Herald goes over to Gen G.
Yeah, it's just, you could see the Gen G members holding their breaths, just going, all right, are they actually going to step across the lane here? They don't have enough vision. We're baiting this super hard. It looks like a mistake or an overextension here and an opportunity for Oner. And then they just jump straight out with the stun prepped for Chovy, and it's an easy pickup here on the kill, and they are going to be able to take the Rift Herald with it. Now T1 will get this first Drake here, so it's not all roses for Gen G, but definitely feeling much better about the Rift Herald pickup right now. Delight has a control ward in here, but he's not going to look for a steal with his Q. That was
Gleaming
about 2
Quills, yes, steal. You love to see it.
About 2 damage.
I think it is the most impressive steal that I've ever seen. A Gleaming Quill Baron steal. That is the best one. I think there was a Death Sentence steal on a Drake as well. Which is when you weren't maxing Q on Thresh. So that was a pretty cool one.
Chovy has stun, and Poby has put himself in this river in a position where if the Kha'Zix is in the jungle, or even if Doran flashes for a leap strike there, he's in no man's land. He just cannot be there, but he wants to help contest the prio there for the Herald, but he's just not aware of how coordinated Gen G is, and this is the kind of coordination you won't find in Challengers. It's the kind of coordination you only find at their top teams here in the LCK.
Well, now comes back as, oh man, Doran almost gets the counter-strike, but Zeus going to be able to win out on the trade in the end. Mega Gnar going to be pretty strong there, but as he gets to Mini, it is a little bit dangerous as Peanut just doesn't know that there are 2 people here. The hook is going to come down and carry a bit of a drive-by, as you can see. It says, goodbye, Peanut. I'll lock that one down.
So 2 kills for Oner. Picks up the one onto Chovy. Now he's got Peanut here once again trying to contest this red buff. And I mean, T1 coordination definitely not as it normally is without Faker, but it's not so weak that you could just walk over here without vision and steal a red buff away and force this skirmish. bit of a whoopsie there. And T1 will maintain that even gold for a little bit longer, at least.
Yeah. You like to see it, and of course, Peanut is a large reason why Gen G's composition snowballs effectively. Kha'Zix, when he gets ahead, is a menace to deal with. Kha'Zix from behind is just a bug that you squish. You're not really too worried about it. He's never going to be building tanky, and so will therefore just be free food. And gets towards the brush, and then is in CC hell forever.
In Peanut's defense, of course, Keria is missing, but he could be anywhere, right? And they don't know he's going to be on this red buff, and I think that this is just great prediction from T1. Peanut's going to make a play for it again, and he protects. Zeus does have his Narbar.
Yeah, that's a flash forward from Doran. The bear comes down, and he can't even get Mega Gnar.
Yeah, I didn't have his ult either. It's just now coming back off of cooldown, and it's just too clean here from Gen G. He tried his best, but now he's down a flash. Will be, of course, a trade of flashes here, 2 for 1, advantage T1, but in terms of what you pick up, as Gen G, you're more than happy to take that trade.
Yeah, and Poby now just going to speed his bear up towards this mid lane, and they will be able to collect some plates as well. As Tibbers is going to shake hands with Keria here just a little bit.
I mean, look at all the plates that Doran's going to pick up here. Man. So they're getting plates top, getting plates mid. One more hit on that one. There he goes. Picks it up.
Only gets the 50 gold. So
there you go.
I would almost say that it's worth.
Plus, he got the gold there on the Herald.
Yeah.
He's 2-0.
Oh, man.
Time to carry.
Gold?
Time to carry, Atlas.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, it is. As he's 100% of T1's advantage, to be honest.
Yeah.
As, all right, Emperor's Divide is going to find Poby. Vault Breaker doesn't, though. Still, he's dead. He's really dead. Cease and Desist going to come through. And Poby going to help lock this one down. That is going to be his first kill of the game.
Not going to be in a mad movie, but you'll take it.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll take it. It wasn't that clean, but it's good enough to get the kill as Chovy is flashless from the play top side, and Poby has the wherewithal to know, okay, he's flashless, he made the play top side, we could turn this into something. Oner's a little bit late to the play, but they still link it together. Zeus, man, he's in trouble in this top side, though.
Oh, dear, yeah. Doran throws down the ultimate. He's getting aggressive as grand entrance towards Keria. There's a Vault Breaker that's going to bring... Oh, no, he misses it. He has to flash, but they still will get in there, but Battle Dance is going to get July8 out. Oh, no. A little bit of a misplay there from Oner is going to cost him
a flash.
Any sort of advantage.
Yeah, flash there, and also would have maybe been able to turn that into a kill, as you're alluding to there, but fortunately does mess it up. As Doran, man, he's just pushing these advantages. He knows that Narbar is about to expire, and he's using the minions so aggressively here. He's just standing behind them saying, Zeus, if you want to get into range of these minions, I'm going to actually look for a Counter-Strike play. I'm going to zone you out of experience. I'm going to zone you out of these last hits. And even when he's in Mega Gnar, he knows exactly how much he could push the advantage there, and is taking a 20 CS lead into a ranged Gnar. Zeus' Gnar, by the way. And I think we could say, Doran, he is back in form here this week.
Oh, absolutely.
This is the double flash committed here. Zeus does not have the ability to pull out the Mega, unfortunately.
In the meantime, Oner is back. The hook is going to connect onto Poby as well, and Keria says, you are, once again, food for the buy. 3-0-1. Yes, he face-planted a Vault Breaker in the bottom lane, but he is the hope for T1 right now.
He really is. And he needs to continue to push these advantages to the rest of the map. He's not going to be able to save Zeus in this game, I don't think, unfortunately, but maybe he can give enough of a gold here to this Azir. Maybe the Kai'Sa, if he starts to put the attention bottom side here, to maybe something can happen. Poby's going to pick up another plate. And, you know, if they could have set up this dive here bottom side, I mean, I think maybe having a little bit of scared after what happened in Game 1, not going to commit there to dive onto the recon, but maybe could have gotten some more plate gold there for Guma. They still have Cryo for this Drake, though. We'll see what soul we end up with as Gen G. We're going to contest this with a TP.
Yeah, July8 actually, grand entrance, and T1 just going to get out of there. They see the TP coming through. It was Doran as well. He is the very scary one, and that will mean that Peanut's able to leap over and pick this one up. And it's Earth, Wind, and Fire in order. Love to see it.
So Doran, he will sacrifice a little bit of minions for this to teleport in, but he knew that Zeus, because of that kill earlier, had to, or because of the pressure he put on him earlier, did have to teleport back to lane, so he knew he had TP advantage and Zeus couldn't match. He also knew plates were falling, so Zeus, even though he gets half of this turret, won't pick up any plate gold. So yeah, Doran lost some minions, but he has a big enough advantage. I don't think he really cares. It's not like Zeus is going to equalize it by crashing those minions into the turret. We're going to go back to this shuffle here. And Oner does the Vault Breaker. Looks like he just wanted to save his ultimate and potentially have the burst damage to take Chovy out, but does commit it in the end. Timing wasn't perfect, but it's good enough. And then Chovy once again overextending here, and Oner is just pitching a tent here in this mid lane as Chovy is constantly flashless, and Keria makes the roam happen. And Poby.
So, yeah.
Okay, keeping it basic.
Thank you very much for taking care of my lane. Perfect stuff. And honestly, you can see Poby is completely even on farm. If you want to nitpick, it is 2 minions in the lead for him. As I said it before, it is going to swing backwards and forth. As Doran fighting with a Meganar that is going to become mini again pretty shortly.
And they have so much.
It's going to back away.
So much control over this top side now with the Drake gone. They've just pivoted there. They put Annie bot. And with Shiv here for Guma, he can push this wave, and Bapeze is just happy to take it. Now, the prio they have in mid isn't going to turn into a guaranteed Herald take unless they can force a fight. And Oner, once again, just wants to camp Chovy here to get more gold for this Azir. But that means he's not actually contesting Herald, so that prio that they had with Shiv in mid is going to end up being meaningless, and Gen.G will stave off the pressure bottom and take the second Herald. So, unfortunately for Oner, coming up empty this time around.
Still going to be fine, though, and you can see that T1 are still neck and neck when it comes to gold. This game is extraordinarily even. I think when these turrets start to fall, that's when Gen.G generally makes all of their advantages happen, as Bear comes down towards the bottom side. Poby going to get stunned up eventually, as we've got Zeus falling very low as well. Quickness comes through as Chovy's underneath the turret. Tibbers is going to get mad. Poby is going to escape. But Oner, is he going to be able to make it out? The answer is yes. And now Doran is chasing after Zeus, and he will survive as well. An advantage for T1 as Peanut's moving towards this bottom lane. He will be able to at least see the Vi, but this dive will be tough.
It's not going to be one he wants to commit to. If he flashes into Oner and he gets vault broken, then he just dies, trades his life for it. Don't want to be giving the Vi further advantages here in this game. Just try to take something else, but not very clean there, unfortunately, for Gen.G on the bottom side of the map. So we'll watch this again. Chovy doesn't have his stun prepped when he drops Tibbers. Does get the stun eventually here, so locks Poby down. But Oner was coming over, and once again, there's no vision here. So Chovy flashes to try to get the kill. Is unsuccessful, and the bear is out of range, and then Oner is able to turn that one around to pick up the gold. So Chovy's 0-4 this game.
He is. And if Oner hadn't have killed Chovy one of those other times, they both die in that situation. So,
100%.
Yeah, hats off to the amount of camp that Chovy has had to deal with so far this game. It's working for T1 beautifully. And this could be the strategy, you know? It's just take Chovy out of the game, make sure that Tibbers is not a scary bear, it's just a teddy bear.
And not only that, but Peanut, like you said, he's a bug to be squashed if he encounters Oner. You can see he's actually struggling to even secure his red buff right now.
Vaultbreaker is going to miss, though, as there's the grand entrance. Keria finds a hook, but pays. He will get knocked up, but now he can free hit, and Keria is most definitely dead. That is going to be Doran diving in and stealing away the kill. And Chovy down to 50% as he had a bit of a scuffle with Poby.
I like the proactivity, let's say, here for T1 to try to push Peanut out of his jungle and push further advantages into this Vi and funnel this massive lead that he has into advantages all over the map, and they commit as a group. But once again, Delight helps turn this one around. But you still have a fed Vi. The Kha'Zix, you know, he has his Eclipse now, and he can push deep vision if they start getting control of the map, because they don't have enough map vision now, or map control rather, to push that vision deeper into T1's jungle. T1 still trying to look for advantages. There's a timer on this, though, because the Gnar is so significantly behind. He's caught up in CS, but this Jax is going to be such a threat in side lanes that T1 need to be doing things like this. They need to be furthering their advantage, because in a side lane, they just simply won't have that same pressure. Missing the Vault Breaker here is really unfortunate. Oner at least will get out with his life. Keria is not so lucky. Delight coming over. Good reaction here from the side of Gen.G as they're 5 on the bottom lane. And that's going to link into this Drake here. It spawns in 10 seconds. Zeus going to maybe trade this for a turret. Much needed gold for the Gnar before he could TP in, but I just don't think T1 have enough control to contest.
I don't think they will be able to. Gumayusi is a long way away from this one as well, as the outer turret in the mid lane had already been taken. So Zeus, he will be able to secure this, and it is only the second Drake for Gen.G. If these start stacking up, it becomes a huge problem. Just one, I think you can probably be okay with giving away, especially if you're able to collect yourself a turret for it. And Zeus just throwing houses around towards his top side. Might be able to get a little bit of damage onto this inner as well, especially with Keria and Oner in the area. Delight moves down. They're going to focus on the Gromp for the moment. It looks like this turret is going to stay up for now.
They're just roaming around as for T1 here to look for Peanut if they can find him, or any, you know, vision clears that Delight is attempting. They're trying to set up some deeper vision here. And Peanut will, of course, come over here. He's got Umbral Glaive and clear this ward so easily. There it is. But still trying to force mistakes out of Gen.G and trying to push these advantages, especially when you have an Azir that's safely side laning right now. Will have his Nashor's Tooth to be an even larger menace there. Feel pretty good about how T1 have taken what was a small advantage and try to turn it into a little bit deeper map control. But you can see the gold lead is faded now. It's actually a deficit here for T1, and this Jax is going to start to be such a huge problem. And in these next 4 minutes, the choices that T1 make will define whether they go to game 3 or not. And I like the idea to just look for picks. Look for picks non-stop. Look for hooks, because you've got to get more than what you have right now, because we go into this next fight, you're not strong enough to just say, I take this easily, Chovy's behind, because they have so many ways to actually out-team fight you here. Pays is on 2 items. And so
it's a team fight composition as well, right?
Yeah.
Like for T1. So they're very happy to move to that state of the game. Yes, Gen.G, they have a similar vibe, but it's not like last game, which was really like do or die. You lose the early game, I mean, pack it up. And that's what they did. They moved to game 2 as quickly as possible.
And I think that T1 need to be wary of how much this composition is reliant on Prio and having that vision set up. So we still got 3 minutes to go before this Dragon. I don't think anyone's going to be able to start Baron up just yet. So when we get down to 90 seconds before this Dragon, I want to see T1 doing that 4-man group around bottom. I want to see deep vision around the pit. I want to see Keria set up to look for a big ult potentially, or threaten Chovy on that flank angle so he doesn't actually get the opportunity to drop a bear, because that's how you're going to win this fight as T1 to even up the Drakes. You lose it or give it up, then soul point goes to Gen.G, and you're never going to get Prio again against this Jack. Speaking of, he's left alone in this bottom lane and is going to take out half of this turret while we see T1 contesting around Baron. And Gen.G, they have really quickly wrestled back control of this map, and now Peanut can aggressively Umbreglaive on the enemy's side of the map and start putting deep vision on the other side of the Drake. And T1, yeah, they're left a little bit empty-handed here in terms of what they got on top side.
And this is the worst part, right? Like, this is what happens when your top laner falls this far behind. You don't get to play any sort of 1-3-1 situation. You can see T1 have been able to get some vision around the Baron, but both teams investing their resources evenly on the bottom side, but Doran's the one that manages to get the turret. And it's hats off to Doran, man. The fact that he has now become a big pressure point for the team is... Oh, he's going to dive on top of Zeus. The hop does come through, though, as the boomerang comes out. And so Zeus, I'm going to be too worried about it. That was a bit of a cute moment, you could say. Is Peanut going to leap away?
Yeah, it's definitely very interesting there, as Doran's not going to mess around with it, with the Gnar on top of him like that.
July8 gets the double knock-up. Chovy wants to throw a bear down. He does do so, but the cease and desist comes in. July8 trying to get away. He is going to be able to do so as Tibbers just getting aggressive. That's 50 gold going over to T1. Pace sidesteps the hook.
So they get a flash and a teleport here as Gen.G. You feel pretty good about this now. T1 are like, are they going to actually start Baron? I mean, there's enough damage here to do it. It will take a long time, but they actually don't have clear vision control here anymore, and this is where things get scary. So Gen.G can use the threat of that with this Jax as well to then say, oh, you guys are now focused on getting Baron vision cleared because you're scared we're taking it. We'll just get Prio on Drake. Look at Peanut just continuing to maintain this vision control here. You're going to take the blue buff away. And, you know, we talked about T1, where they need to be focused on 90 seconds before they were not.
Oh, no.
Poby, oh boy.
Yeah, Poby is going to have his crown broken. There is the Emperor's Divide, but Doran is going to avoid it. Shifts the sands, though, and Poby's out of there. Never you mind.
I mean, he lives, but now he's down Flash, now he's down ult, and 2 critical tools to potentially get this Drake fight into your favor. And Gen.G, I mean, they looked for the play topside. Yeah, they don't get any kills, but they got so much of an advantage. Knows that the wards that T1 have set up on Baron, they put their focus there just in case, but they can't take it themselves, and now there's just no way to set up for Dragon. They're still trying to have this Goon Squad roam around and look for picks onto potentially this Rakan, for example, and maybe they could, with Faker's leadership, have tried to start Baron, you know, like T1 would normally do in a situation like this, but they're just not confident enough. But the Jax side lane is such a problem because he has TP advantage now after Zeus went over there. So if you try to start Baron, he kills a turret and denies you Baron. It's just checkmate here at this point.
And he can also just go over and take the Drake. And so Gen.G can stay out on the map. They can 2-man this Dragon. That is going to be soul point basically for free here. And this is like you've been talking about throughout this game, right? It's just pure vision control for Gen.G. Peanut's not only getting vision control, but he's 50 CS ahead of this 4-0 Vi that we said is going to be so pivotal to T1 being able to further what advantages they did have earlier in the game. As Emperor's Divide is up again, and Doran is Gonna have to go golden. I don't know whether there's a lot of answers, but he is gonna flash Leap Strike and he's fine, never you mind. And now Peanut is gonna turn up. There's the flash Tibbers, and the Pigeon is squashed. Zeus is now fighting a bear, looking for an opportunity. The Void Seeker is not gonna allow Gumayusi to come over. And Genji finding even more. Zeus is just going to frustratedly gnaw away Tibbers and doesn't even get the 50G.
And the counter plays that we've seen both games here on the bottom side for Genji have been so fantastic because they know they have that additional teleport for Chovy. Everything is used onto Doran. He has stopwatch, he breaks it, and then the turn is great as Oner. Yeah. This is not a buff that you could take.
No, it is not. Another Leap Strike does come through, though. Counter-Strike going to stun up the Vi. Does he have another? No, he doesn't. Oh. And Doran is going to pick it up. This Jax is just too big.
And that's all that money picked up, all that bounty as well into Doran's hands. He could buy his Onya soon. He's going to take a Baron first, it looks like, though, as his Counter-Strike's on cooldown here, but where's the engage? Poby doesn't have ult.
Yeah, July8 just running for Gumayusi, immediately cleanses to get himself out of the way. Keria trying to deal with Peanut, but now he's by himself, and Genji will be able to lock him down. It's been a quiet game for Paze, but he grabs himself a kill here, and Genji now to back off towards this river. They'll clear out all the vision and look to start a Baron. July8 just grand entrance to get out of the way of the Void Seeker.
And this is Baron for this Jax, for this insane 4-1 composition. T1, they're just not willing to give, but there's nothing they can do. No Narbar.
Yeah, grand entrance going to come through. That is going to be a Mega Gnar. So Zeus does get a little bit of a crush out, but that is still a dead Gnar, a dead Baron, and Genji with a huge advantage now.
Yeah, I mean, so massive here. And this is the kind of plays, I said it before, that you see oftentimes from T1's side lane where everything is committed to kill somebody, and then stopwatch comes out, TP from Chovy, Peanut is here, and what looks like a one-man pushing too far is actually 3 Genji players picking up 2 kills. Well, nearly 2 kills. Of course, Zeus will escape here, but watch this play here onto the Vi from Doran, who's 3 levels up. He's asking where Nautilus is.
Yeah.
He's like, guess I'm just going to go for this.
Haha.
What's he doing?
Oh, some classic Doran there. With a little bit of a ha-ha at the end. And in that bottom lane play, there are so many times, right? And as commentators, we get used to the tendencies of players. Doran has, throughout a lot of his career, had a tendency to die in situations like that. And so I just assume, oh, it's Doran, he's slightly overextended. He'll die, but his team will be able to get vision. This time around, it's like a different Doran plays against T1 half the time.
Yeah.
And we saw it in the finals. That was a Doran just hitting Super Saiyan in a level that we hadn't even seen, especially on the Gragas then. But this is his best Jax performance that I've seen in a really long time.
Yeah, and, you know, okay,
all right.
Oner, you got to get out of here.
Blasco and jump scare.
But, you know, the other thing, too, is he had that great performance, albeit against a underperforming Birdall, against Live Sandbox earlier this week.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that has been a liability for Genji at times, but it just certainly has not been in their last few games. It's actually been a strong point that Peanut can play through. So that knock-up is not going to connect, but that's going to be an inhibitor here at least for Genji.
And it's like, as the game moves towards a little bit more of that topside meta that we've seen starting to develop, as I'm going to have to hold that thought, in goes Keria, looks for an opportunity, July8 taking a lot of damage, and that is going to be Poby collecting that kill. It's a 1-for-1, which is kind of all right here for T1 at this circumstance, but it's not anymore. That's a double kill for Paze as he flashes in, picks up the triple here. Gumayusi now after him. It's Zeus that locks down the kill, but they still will all die. And Genji, yes, they lose their AD carry. It was an overly aggressive play because Paze has been a bit subdued this game, but the game is still over, Wolf.
It's still over. They've got a minion wave here. They've got Baron buff for 30 seconds, and Doran, he can 2-hit these turrets, it feels like at this point. Being a bit facetious, but he's just so big.
Yeah.
And T1, the expected loss tonight here to Genji.